Have you been worrying about how to drive productivity and engagement within your business?
Has the novelty of working from home worn off? Are you battling to balance bringing staff back from furlough, rejigged office spaces, and changed employee expectations?
I mean, never before has the world of work been so thoroughly disrupted. But I think this is a bit of a blessing in disguise. I'm Joss Sargent, founder of Capitalise. I've worked with many organisations and people facing and transitioning great change. I specialise in culture change, leadership and team performance, and strategic communications. I'm on a bit of a mission to work with leaders to develop themselves to ultimately create better, healthier, more successful workplaces, which can have a wider positive impact. I use my capitalizer and Barrett models and approach so that I can measure culture change success, which I feel is the real holy grail of change. So over to you, Jess.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Whitcutt Fagan, a reputation management specialist and creator of the Reputation with Purpose model. So what do culture, reputation, and purpose have to do with each other? Well, absolutely everything. Companies with a strong reputation perform better, and the drivers of reputation have been completely upended as a result of COVID. Today, companies are first and foremost judged on how they support their staff, and secondly, on how much of a force for good they are in the world. In other words, purpose is the biggest driver of reputation, both internally and externally.
And also what I tend to find with company culture is that it gets tinkered with around the edges and it isn't approached as a whole system change. And this is where companies really go very wrong. If your culture change is really going to permeate throughout the company, you must have a solid purpose, vision, strategy, and values that are all aligned and act as connectors, both inside and outside the organization. And it's only then that your reputation will build. This acts as the all-important anchor to which with everything and everyone can ground themselves to when navigating a great sea of change. It creates purpose and meaning, it tracks, retains people, it tackles the all-important alignment piece and acts as a real catalyst for collective, cohesive action and bigger picture change.
That's a really interesting point you raised there, Joss. But why do you think now is the time for companies to reset their purpose and culture?
Well, the working world, the economy, I mean, it's so drastically changed since the pandemic hit us. So the purpose culture that had been defined prior to COVID, is probably no longer fit for purpose. Who knows? But it's all important that it brings the organisation maximum results. So carrying out a deep dive now is probably a very worthwhile exercise to do. We've also seen a great shift in the ways of working. Leaders are upping their game and levels of communication, which I'm loving. And also you're seeing much more supported and empathetic leadership. So that's all good. So there's a lot of goodwill towards the companies that have been people-centered throughout this. So for me, it's a great time to build on this momentum. And, let's not forget, strong, meaningful purpose and the right desire culture really help drive performance. And they do that by making the organisation more sustainable. The organisation can play its bigger part, being a force for good. In a competitive space, it can open up new markets, services, products. And from a people perspective, it unifies, it attracts, it retains, and it creates great pride and a real sort of meaning to people's, work and which they do. And also, actually, if you look at the BGC Henderson Institute research, 14% of companies that outperformed historically and competitively massive downturns invested in growth areas during these times. But we know that there has been a lot of purpose washing out there. We do know that. We've talked about it, haven't we? But how do you think, Jessica, how do you think companies can align themselves around purpose properly?
Yeah, I think as much good work has been done in terms of engagement over the pandemic. I think the issue is that purpose in most cases, or in many cases, is not done properly, and it's because there is no joint understanding on what purpose really is. There have been far too many well-intentioned efforts that have failed because people are chasing fashionable words or trends without the required insights. Purpose is not a mission statement or vision. Purpose is your reason for being, and that goes beyond the why that Simon Sinek so famously discusses. He describes Apple's why as being about creating beautiful products, and that's fine, and they've done very well out of it, but that doesn't make the world a better place. Um, I can't find their purpose on their website anyway. Unilever, on the other hand, make their purpose perfectly clear. It's to make sustainable living commonplace. So what is purpose then? Well, I think firstly, any purpose without impact is completely meaningless. And I think this is where most companies miss the mark. It's not that you have to transform into a charity or a social enterprise, but you have to make a positive impact on the world, either socially or environmentally or both. And this goes beyond recycling the office paper or switching off the lights or running employee volunteer days. Purpose is not something you bolt onto the side of the business. It's foundational and it's impactful. It also has to be material, so it can't do something that's completely different to what it is that you're doing already anyway. How do you use your scale and your skill to make a difference in the world? So look at what you do, or at what you could do. I mean, it's a great innovation opportunity also. And map that against the Sustainable Development Goals and find your purpose there. And lastly, it has to be authentic. So not only do you actually have to deliver an impact, but it has to be part of the culture and the DNA of the business if it's going to work. It has to be something that flows from the top. Your leadership team have to be seen to be making business decisions in line with purpose. It's not something you can just pay lip service to. And it also has to flow within the business. It has to be part of the DNA and on the culture of the business, which is where our worlds overlap so nicely. Used long before you give it to marketing to run kind of an external campaign about whatever purpose you've decided or whatever how work you are. It has to be true inside. It has to be baked into your employee engagement, your performance management, and your cultural practices.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It really is critical that the internal listening systems are on high alert. Culture is massively shaped by the conversations and interactions between people. And now with everyone going remote, you need to, or companies need to make sure that, some of the uncertainty, the stress, isn't eroding the great work that's already been done to date. And also remember, when colleagues are involved in defining the desired culture, that will help accelerate the delivery of the purpose, the vision, the strategy. They feel listened to, involved, and their opinions matter, and they've helped to shape this. Then of course you're going to get your commitment there from the people that matter, and you'll also know what are the core values to be focusing on. And this is exactly what our ReAlign program is designed to do. I mean, we've come together in a powerful way, actually, and we've looked at both of our approaches, both of our methods and tools. And from there, we've used sort of the best of both worlds to co-create this program to help companies to reset, to realign, so that they can set themselves up strongly for the future. And the other important aspect is the assessment diagnostics, which gives a company a benchmark to measure the culture change success year in, year out. It's important, we know it. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So I think we've covered everything, Jess.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. I mean, I think the one thing to maybe add is I heard yesterday actually that a forecast that we're actually now only in the eye of the storm. So we've been through the first part. Everybody's feeling a little bit battered and bruised. But the second part of that storm, the winds are even worse. So I think, now really is the time to look at these things. It's not something that takes months and months and months to get right. It can be implemented pretty quickly and effectively. So yeah, there's lots more information on our website, both mine, itsashovel.com, and on Joss's, capitalizeperformance.com. And of course, you can get in touch with us directly, and happy to always have a chat on how it works and what it could do for you. So we look forward to hearing from you.
We do look forward to hearing from you.
Bye.